I hope you're ready to cook with rock, because today I'm making these delicious beer bath brats on my Traeger Ironwood. I mean brats with peppers and onions, simmered in a beer bath, all finished with a hard sear. If you're ready to enjoy summer, I haven't found a recipe that screams America like this one. Welcome to my backyard setup, where I cook up traditional and new barbecue recipes. I'm not here to tell you how to do it, I'm just here to share the way I do it. So let's get into it. All right, so I'm gonna get into making these beer brats. So this is a classic summer one that I love to do. Super simple. And it's definitely one that you can kind of put your own spin on very easily. So I'm gonna get started here by cutting up my veggies. So for this recipe, I'm gonna use a red, a yellow, and a green pepper, as well as a sweet onion. It's one of those that you can definitely just decide to use one pepper, no peppers, kind of possibilities are endless. You can also flip in things like jalapenos. So as we start prepping things, I've got my Traeger Ironwood. I'm getting it heated up to 350 degrees. We're gonna run this cook at 350, and then we'll turn it up after that to sear them off. So a bunch of different ways to cut peppers. I just like to kind of cut it into fourths basically to get that center core out. Take that and discard it. And then you just got to clean up a little bit on the inside, and then I cut them into long slices to place them into the beer bath. What I do too on this is I'm gonna have quite a bit of peppers left over, and so my daughters just love to eat raw peppers, and so I slice them up and we kind of have a little bit of side veggie. They don't like them as much on the actual brats and such. So get the cores cleaned out. So as you can see, I just kind of like to put into nice, decent sized slices, long ways. They're gonna shrink just a little bit as you get them in the beer bath and they cook off. But they're really gonna get nice and soft and just pairs really well with brats. So to save myself a little time as I'm doing this, I am gonna go ahead and get my cast iron out that I'm gonna put these in. Certainly could go with different things besides a cast iron, but I just like using a cast iron because it just holds the heat really well, lets everything cook really nicely. Got a few of the seeds in there, not the end of the world. All right, and I'll get the green one. And get our yellow pepper. Next, I'm gonna do a sweet onion. This is another one where, you know, grab whatever onion you've got handy. You can go with like a Vidalia onion. You can even go with like a red onion if you really wanted to. I don't think there'd be any problem in that. But all I'm gonna do with this onion is I'm gonna cut it again in long slices after I get this skin peeled off. So I got these nice long slices. These are gonna shrink up quite a bit, so I try and just use some of the bigger ones. Then I'm gonna take the rest of this onion. After this recipe, I'm gonna dice it all up, so we've got some diced onion for any number of things that we're gonna cook the rest of the week. All right, now, one of the options I am gonna talk about, so I do this one of two ways. Sometimes I'll take this and I'll throw it on the induction top and I'll sear these off and get them like a nice crust going. But this one, I'm just gonna do it the other way, where I'm just gonna basically put it all in the bath, put the brats in here, and then we're just gonna cook them off. You can kind of go either way. Sometimes I like that little crispiness, and it also gets some of the aroma coming out of the peppers, but today we're just gonna do it nice and simple. So before I do that, I'm gonna take some of my anytime seasoning. This is kind of a salt, pepper, garlic. Just give it a little bit of seasoning in these. Again, they're gonna be in the salt bath, so it'll just kind of bake in this seasoning, but we're gonna fill that up. Then I'm gonna take my brats. These I just went with standard Johnsonville, just regular original brats. This is yet another recipe that you can do so many different ways, because you can get Italian type sausage, you can get cheddar sausages, you can get, possibly just kind of seem endless. You can get beer sausages and have that extra beer flavor in there. Kind of really whatever you want to do. So if you don't have a big cast iron like this, you could certainly put it into like disposable aluminum pans. I do that sometimes when I'm tailgating. I kind of get the same thing done. Really, you can just kind of put anything that's going to hold the liquid and hold the brats, so you can kind of steam them, as we're going to do on the smoker here in a minute. So now, last and most important, we're going to throw some beer in here. You can put any beer you want. If you want to do a flavor profile with like a fruity beer, like a Leinenkugel or an Oberon or something like that, I do that a lot. But what I've kind of found with 2 packages of brats, I do 1 beer can and just pour it right over the top. Get it all nice and delicious in here. 1 beer can's perfectly enough. You can then take it and fill it up with water, or what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna grab another beer, dose it in here, and get it filled up, and then we'll hit it up with a little bit of water. So I just went in, filled this up with some water. So it's just a can of beer, just water. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get these almost fully submerged. Don't necessarily have to be 100% submerged, but I'm trying to get as much of them in there so they can kind of just steep in that delicious beer flavor. So this is yet another can of beer. So for this recipe with this big of a pan and 2 packages of 5 brats, I use 2 cans of beer, 1 can of water. And that's kind of what I'm going for and what I'm looking for. So again, I'm gonna move these around just a little bit, but you can just smell that beer aroma coming off already. And you just know that all those sugars and stuff from the beer is gonna soak right in there and just make these even juicier, sweeter, more delicious. All right, I've got my Traeger Ironwood 85. I've got it up to 350 degrees. We're gonna roll these for somewhere around 30 to 45 minutes at 350 degrees. Let them soak up all those delicious juices from the beer and get those peppers nice and soft and just ready to eat. And then after that, we're gonna crank up the grill to a higher temp, probably about 450, and sear them off real fast, and they're gonna be ready to eat. So, got my beer bath cast iron. Just gonna let them sit there and cook. While these brats are on the Traeger and they're coming into that beer steam bath, I'm gonna go through a few of my tips for this recipe. Tip number 1, use warm beer. I know it sounds simple, and maybe at your house you don't have warm beer sitting around, but take one out, put it outside while you're getting ready to prep for this. That warm beer is going to not take a bunch of extra time to come up to temp on the smoker. If it does, it's not the end of the world. All you gotta do is just give yourself an extra 10-15 minutes in the recipe and you'll be just fine. Tip number 2, I always like to make sure I don't overcrowd too much. Doesn't mean you gotta have a ton of space in that skillet or that pan or whatever you're cooking them in, but you don't wanna be so stuffed in there. So as you saw in this one, I used a pretty large cast iron. I could have probably fit those 5 brats into a smaller, like 10-inch cast iron, but it just kind of crowds everything and it doesn't seem to cook as easily. So I always suggest, you know, like I said, use a disposable aluminum pan, anything really that's just gonna hold that liquid in. Tip number 3, I love to use split top buns. When I'm making this recipe, especially with all the peppers, it's just so much easier when you have that split top bun. It sits nice and steady on your plate, pile it up high, and just get to eat that deliciousness of those brats. All right, so these have been rolling at 350 for just about a little over 30 minutes. Once they hit about 30 minutes, I went ahead and cranked up the grill. We're getting it up to 450 degrees. We're gonna sear these off roughly about 5 minutes each side or until they look done. And so basically I got some wool lined gloves. I'm gonna open this up. We're gonna pull them out and put them right on the grill grate. All right, well, these brats look so good. I'm so anxious to get diving into them. They just came off the smoker. All in all, it was right about an hour. At the very end, I even cooked off some fries so that we'd have a side to eat. I've got my peppers here, so I'm gonna go ahead and build one of the brats. I love these split top buns, and these are actually brioche split top buns. So they're just even more delicious than a typical one. I love these split tops though, because you can just kind of open it up. That way you've got plenty of space. Take your brat, throw it down. And I love to put on a good amount of my peppers. Get one of each of the colors, layer them on there. Just real nice and delicious. Last but not least, totally personal preference. I love to have mustard on it, so I'm gonna grab a little mustard. And that's it, it is ready to rock. Such a delicious meal. Great for summertime, great for the 4th of July, great for just any time. We just love having brats. Simple family meal you can do on a weeknight and do it pretty quick. Last thing I gotta do, gotta jump in for that first bite. This thing's gonna be super hot, but I just can't wait any longer. That's so good. Got that crisp pop from the brat. You got that extra flavor from all the peppers, a little bit of mustard on top. This thing is summer personified. I love this recipe. I hope you do too. Hit me in the comments, let me know what you think, and I appreciate you coming along. We'll see you.